Murphy at Murtech.com with your daily news update. Okay, here we are on November the 9th in the year of our Lord, 2025. And seriously, I have a lot of great information for you. Let me jump over here to my Rumble channel. This is the video we're watching tonight, episode 1741. Let me click on that, get into this, close out the live chat. Slide down here and click the Show More button to expand the description box. And we have information from Andrew Klavan, Dr. Steve Turley, USA Watchdog, Wendy Bell, Weekends with Wendy, and X22 Report. Normally I only share about 4 videos, but folks, this is great stuff that I wanted to share tonight. Okay, before we get into that, I have a ton of shout outs. Now, I've shared with you the past few days my statistics for Rumble Studio, and obviously it's paid off because, I mean, look at all these new people that have followed my channel. Lisa M, Cooper 0816, Lady Liberty 497, Maddie Rumblev, Joe Loud, Brookie 927, Butterfly Garden 2015, Pat Sass, Wanda Woldridge, Dr. Brown 84, Lee Handra, Sarah Taylor 938, and William Volpe. Also, Cubs Dad just started following my channel. All these new people that have followed my channel, Rumble has really paid off in promoting my information. Okay, so I'm going to give this a thumbs up. I had to create 2 comments. I had so many people commenting and following my channel. Debbie BS reposted my video 1739. Debbie BS and 17 Allen gave me comments. Lisa M and Jan AO commented. Bluebell and Chubb's Dad gave me comments. Debbie BS gave me several comments here. Uncloudy gave me a comment, and Deb Rent. So thank you very much, folks, for your comments. I greatly appreciate that. So let me give that a thumbs up too. Okay, let's get into this. And here we go. Right down here are the people that follow me, this big list here. I put them into comments. You can go down and review that. Great stuff. Okay, let's get into comment of the day from Bluebell. Let me go ahead and share that with you. I appreciate you putting together clips from people I wouldn't otherwise hear. Thank you very much. Enjoying the show. Thank you, Bluebell. I appreciate that comment. Okay, let's jump back here and get going with this because, tell you what, we got a lot of stuff. Andrew Klavan, Electile Dysfunction, episode 1245. Okay, I'm going to share his monologue with you, then we're going to jump up to about the 8-minute and 53-second mark. So let's go with that.
The movie business has just suffered the worst Halloween box office in over 30 years, causing many people who think seriously about Hollywood to laugh uproariously while burying their buttocks in the direction of Los Angeles and singing made-up song lyrics that rhyme with "Pharma is a glitch, you sleazy brother duckers." The box office tally showed that after releasing around 11 Halloween-themed movies for the October holiday at an overall production cost of about $300 million, industry leaders drew in enough money to buy a jumbo popcorn at the candy counter if the nice old man standing on line behind them gave them an extra nickel out of the goodness of his heart. But while Hollywood zillionaires have been openly dripping scorn on the values, lifestyles, religion, and patriotism of the American public for the last 30 years, that doesn't mean Americans are celebrating the industry's hilariously humiliating fall down a bottomless well of hilarious humiliation. Sure, there have been 1 or 2 or 500 nationwide fortnight-long parties at which burning effigies of Bob Iger are hung from trees while adults and children alike dance in circles beneath them, singing made-up lyrics that rhyme with "Burn, you supercilious niece of Split." But that's only because they wanted to melt chocolate and marshmallows for their s'mores, and a burning effigy of Bob Iger strung from a tree happened to be near at hand, as always. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, studio executives are trying to solve the mysteriously puzzling conundrum-like enigma of why their latest films are not causing what used to be the movie-going public to leave their homes, where they're busy playing darts with the headshots of loudmouth actors. One studio executive, Hazer Schmendrick of Crapola Pictures, took time out to talk to a reporter while coming home to his third wife from his 14-year-old mistress's house before stopping off at his dealer on his way to a fundraiser for the Shout Your Abortion Foundation. Schmendrick said, quote, "I just can't figure out why the folks aren't showing up for our movies. We've given them homosexual propaganda for children, turned all their favorite franchises into socialist rants, denigrated masculinity, banned femininity, barred the depiction of white men as heroes, and cast the President of the United States as everything from a black lesbian to a saintly Islamist. We even made a movie about a 58-year-old girl boss who laps milk out of a saucer in order to debase herself in front of a 25-year-old man. I mean, we've tried everything. What the hell else does this audience want?" Unquote. Other executives said the poor Halloween box office may be due to competition from the World Series, or the government shutdown, or the fact that Halloween fell on a Friday this year, or maybe just that Americans are sick of giving money to tawdry jerkwads who hate them. But even as Hollywood tried to determine where they might have gone wrong, the industry was rocked by another scandal when bombshell actress Lefty Vavoom showed up at an elite gala wearing a shocking full-sleeved blouse and ankle-length skirt that revealed every inch of her modesty and restrained sexual behavior. As paparazzi snaps of the starlet's outfit appeared on front pages under red ink shock headlines, feminist critics reacted in rage. At the New York Times, a former newspaper, feminist columnist Banshee McScreamyface wrote, quote, "At a time when women in the workplace are facing disrespect for simply exercising their right to descend to the lowest levels of self-hating sexual degradation, how can we proclaim our feminist principles if our Hollywood role models strut around in non-see-through blouses that don't even expose their nipples? I don't want to seem old-fashioned, but we need a return to the good old days when Kanye West's girlfriends came to parties wearing nothing but a dog collar, proudly proclaiming the legacy of feminism, namely obsessive self-abuse and soulless immiseration," unquote. Trembling before the feminist blast no one else read, Hollywood moguls immediately signed a pledge to cast more black actors in roles that make no earthly sense and release another movie in which Nicole Kidman humiliates herself in the nude in time for her 60th birthday. If that doesn't win back the audience, nothing will. And let's hope nothing will. Trigger warning, I'm Andrew Klavan, and this is The Andrew Klavan Show.
Well, I'm glad he put that all in perspective for us because, I was pretty confused about Hollywood and how they felt about the rest of us. But now I guess we know.
Klavan for 25% off. Exclusions apply. Chapter 1, Hell of a Town. So there's obviously big elections, and everybody's going to be covering them. And one thing you will notice that the media likes to read the tea leaves in every non-presidential election. And there's something fair about that in the sense that an election is like a market. The markets feed information to the traders, and the traders then react, and that affects the market. And the same thing kind of happens in politics. You do get some information. I'm going to address it because I have something to say that I haven't heard anybody else say, but I don't want to get mired in it forever because to me, a lot of these elections were so predictable that anything you say, so many media people just tell you that what I'm getting out of this is that the public wants exactly what I want. That's basically where they all come down. They all come down as the public wants. If they're conservative, the public wants more conservatism. If they're radical leftist, the public wants more radical leftism. So Virginia goes blue. Abigail Spanberger wins the governorship. Winsome Earl Sears was a terrible candidate. Trump didn't back her until later because she was not that nice to him. Spanberger, ran as a moderate. Let's see how moderate she'll be. I'm not that sure. But Virginia goes opposite to the last presidential election Always. I think one time they didn't do that. So they always go opposite. Republicans win, they go Democrat. Democrats win, they go Republican. So, it was really, really nice to have a Republican governor for a few years in there. It's made it really nice. But, the other thing about this is that, if you walk around Virginia, you can't help stumbling over an unemployed bureaucrat. All the people that got fired in the Elon Musk, attack on the government, they all live in Virginia. They're all disgruntled, whether they deserve to be fired or not. I personally am very much in favor of out of work bureaucrats. I think as many bureaucrats as possible should be out of work, but they don't like it, just because I'm for it. So, read into that what you will. We'll see what happens. I think it's a tragedy that Jay Jones won for AG after wishing people dead, but mostly because I think he'll bring chaos and more crime. That's bad. But again, not surprising. He kind of rode in on Spanberger's coattails. Same thing in New Jersey. The Democrat Mikey Sherrill. Everyone was predicting that the Republican might do better than in that, but the numbers always showed her ahead. I think that was just dreaming. And, Trump lost Jersey by 16%. So again, same thing with California's gerrymander law. I expect that to be challenged in court. It's probably already being challenged in court. But of course, they were going to win in a one-party state. So the big story is Mamdani. And it's a surprise in the sense that he broke all the rules. He's young. He has no experience. He's going to be doing what is sometimes thought of as the second hardest job in the country. And sometimes it's thought of as the first hardest job in the country, governing New York. He's like run a, 6 employees. He's suddenly going to be running thousands of employees. It's going to be insane. And unions, they want to get him down. And immediately he went into his speech, dumped all the kumbaya stuff and the moderate stuff, and immediately went full on socialist. Here is his speech, his victory speech is cut one.
This will be an age where New Yorkers expect from their leaders a bold vision of what we will achieve, rather than a list of excuses for what we are too timid to attempt. Central to that vision will be the most ambitious agenda to tackle the cost of living crisis that this city has seen since the days of Fiorella LaGuardia. An agenda that will freeze the rents for more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants. Make buses fast and free. And deliver universal child care across our city. Years from now, may our only regret be that this day took so long to come.
So, the reason it took so long to come is he's talking complete crap. And obviously, if you freeze the rents, people stop being landlords because they're not making any money. They stop building houses, and the home crunch gets worse and the prices go up. This happens every time. It's never happened any other way. It'll happen the same way this time. All that stuff about free this. Free is like the word dragon. It describes something that happens in your imagination but doesn't exist in real life. So, the people who pay for all this are very wealthy. They can leave town any way they want. You're not going to build a Berlin Wall around New York. Not going to happen. That's why they built the Berlin Walls, to keep people inside. People will leave, and there goes your tax base. And then how do you pay for this stuff? There's the one question that socialists, they're like bandits. They never ask where the money came from. They just want to steal it and move on. But you can't do that. Eventually, as Margaret Thatcher said, you run out of other people's money.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I'm going to pause that there. And I will share this video in my daily news wrap-up tonight. But I did want to give you a taste of that. And he's on a roll tonight, folks. Let me click this Rumbles link and show you that this video does come from Andrew Klavan. I'm following his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right. Let's jump back here and move on with Dr. Steve Turley. Mamdani is already imploding as Florida home prices skyrocket. Amazing. Okay, let's see what he has to say.
Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your back porch professor here. We're having some beautiful weather in November here in the Northeast. Could it have anything to do with the fact that so many New Yorkers are flocking south? Because that's exactly what's happening. I mean, it's barely been, 72 hours since Zohran Mamdani won the New York City mayor's race. And not only is Florida real estate booming, but the scandals are already piling up faster than all the luxury condos getting sold as we speak in Miami. Seriously, the fallout from what happened on Tuesday is absolutely jaw-dropping. And it's starting to make everyone, I mean, literally everyone, question whether or not the Democrats really won on Tuesday. So let's start with what happened the moment Mamdani won. Literally minutes after the race was called, right? Literally minutes. Real estate agents in Florida had their their email accounts blowing up. We're talking we're not talking about a few calls here or there, a few inquiries. No, one Miami developer by the name of Isaac Toledano, he reported, I kid you not, he reported over $100 million in signed contracts from nervous New Yorkers in just the past few months, doubling what they got in the entirety of last year.
Wow.
$100 million in signed real estate purchases. It's incredible. I mean, you want an investment idea? I'm sure it's too late, but if you could snag some Southern Florida properties right before the wealthy New Yorkers flood the market, you'll be sitting pretty. But of course, no investment advice here for sure. Get this, you're going to love this stat. This is from Virtual Hangar. Okay, that's a private jet booking platform, Virtual Hangar. They're reporting a 42% spike in private jet requests from New York to Florida in the 36 hours following Mamdani's election win. A 42% spike in private jet requests from New York to Florida. About 38% of those flights were headed directly to Palm Beach, right near Mar-a-Lago in West Palm Beach, right? And another 40% to Boca Raton, Fort Lauderdale, Miami. But here's where it gets very interesting, because this isn't just about taxes. This is about trust. And Mamdani is already breaking it. So speaking of private jets, did you hear what he did right after winning that election? I kid you not. He actually jetted off to a luxury resort in Puerto Rico for some conference with a bunch of, all the big Democrat donors and the like. So this is a guy who campaigned on giving people free stuff, who then is now hanging out with political insiders and lobbyists. Congressman Mike Lawler, the Republican, absolutely slammed him for it. Here's a self-described Democrat socialist who spent his entire campaign demonizing the wealthy, and his very first move as mayor-elect is to live it up at a luxury resort among the wealthy. I mean, the hypocrisy is just beyond breathtaking, but that's what you get with champagne socialists, right? And then to make it even worse, you may have seen this, but Mamdani announced an all-female transition team, and the media initially praised it as historic and wonderful, as they always do. But dig deeper and you find something rather disturbing. The co-chair is a woman by the name of Lena Khan. She's Biden's former FTC chair, who has reportedly significant ties with George Soros' dark money networks. And again, and this is key, she's as Democrat establishment as you can possibly get, which is precisely what Mamdani campaigned against. So much for disrupting the establishment, right? Mamdani's filling his administration with the very same failed Democrat operatives from the de Blasio era, the Bloomberg era, Biden era. And then, of course, to add insult to injury, Mamdani actually turned around and asked all his supporters for money right after he won. He literally begged his supporters for money to help fund this transition, even though the transition is fully paid for by state funds. Again, the guy who promised free stuff to all his supporters turns around, and the very first act he does is he asks those very supporters to pay up. Now, what's so fascinating here is that the whole Mamdani saga is actually just reigniting the Democrat civil war that we've talked about a lot in the past. Pro-Palestinian progressives versus pro-Israeli liberals. And the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, right, which in many ways is the leader of the pro-Israeli liberal faction among Democrats, they took the unprecedented step of launching a dedicated Mamdani monitor website and tip line. Have you heard about this? Fox News just ran a report on this. The ADL, which again is as liberal as you can get, they are entirely Democrat, by its nature, it's radically pro-Israeli. They launched a dedicated online Mamdani monitor and tip line specifically to track all the anti-Semitism concerns under his administrations. So if you thought New York City was somehow united behind this guy, I mean, you're living under a rock. He's ignited this civil war. He's split the left. He's split probably, I don't know, 60-40, with 40% of New York Democrats wanting nothing to do with this guy whatsoever. Now, while some are staying and fighting, as I noted earlier, others, particularly the ultra wealthy, ain't sticking around New York City to find out what's about to happen there. So luxury waterfront properties that typically sit on the market until Thanksgiving in Florida, they're gone. They're entering contracts at an absolutely unprecedented pace. And here's the twist. It's not even New Yorkers who are buying up yet. It's Floridians rushing in to purchase them up before the expected exodus of refugees from New York drives prices through the roof. And that's the irony with Mamdani. One real estate agent in South Florida is basically calling him COVID 2.0. Remember, it was during COVID when Florida set itself apart as a state of refuge, like the biblical cities of refuge, right? Where literally millions across the nation flocked to Florida to find freedom. Freaking Mamdani is being likened to a virus. That's the effect that he's having. He's about as popular among a number of New Yorkers as a pathogen, as a disease. Ironically, though, again, all of this was so predictable. I mean, we've talked about this numerous times. The further left urban Democrat leadership lurches, the more their cities shrink. It's a pattern that we've seen over and over again. The technical term is de-urbanization, and it's been happening for at least the last 2 decades. Ultra-left Brandon Johnson's Chicago, it is currently now at its lowest population in a century. Nearly 200,000 people have left Karen Bass's LA since 2020. Baltimore, which was the biggest city in the nation back in the 19th century, well over 1 million residents just up to a few decades ago, they barely have 500,000 residents today. I mean, we could keep going. Detroit, Cleveland, St. Louis, and now New York. It's being called the death of the American city. Our cities, which are run by Democrat monopolies, have basically become failed states. To call them Mogadishu would be an insult to Mogadishu. And the more they double down on their liberal lunacy, the more failed they become, which means the more population they lose. So it's a completely unsustainable model. At some point, these cities are just going to keel over and socially implode. Unless, of course, Trump and the MAGA movement can make these cities great again. Freedom cities are the future. And that's something we'll be talking a lot about on this channel in the days ahead, especially given that the Mamdani disaster is just getting started.
All right, there we go, folks. Let me show you that this video does come from Dr. Steve Turley. I'm subscribed to his channel. I've given him a thumbs up. Let me share some information here with you from Switch with Julie.
Switching to safer and better American-made products has never been easier. Just switch the money you already spend on everyday items like toothpaste, shampoo, detergents, supplements, and more.
Switch them over to an all-American company that actually cares about their customers. You'll wish you had done this sooner, like Julie, who has been a customer for over 20 years.
She can take you on the virtual tour and answer any questions that you might have. Vote with your dollars by skipping the big box stores and switching to a company that has family values and does not put profit over people.
There is no obligation to find out how you can become a member and receive discounted prices. Go to switchwithjulie.com to learn more about this convenient way to buy safer and better American-made consumable products.
All right, that's interesting stuff. And by all means, check it out. See if that can do something for you. But let's get back here and listen to USA Watchdog Greg Hunter. Black Star here to battle evil with Weston Warren. Now, this is some interesting stuff. This is some stuff that I've been following now for probably 13, 14 years. And I'll just let them talk about it.
I'm Greg Hunter. Welcome to USAWatchdog.com. Today, information you will hear nowhere else. Period. The end. I'll have a lot of people, including Catherine Austin Fitz, by the way. One of the first things she said when I saw her recently was, when are you going to have the Black Star guy on again? Black Star is real. Right now it's at a low because of where the Black Star is. The sun is between us and the Black Star. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But there's not just the Black Star is coming and what's going to happen, what you should know, but why is it coming? All power in heaven and on earth has been given to me, said Jesus. All power on heaven and on earth. So there's a whole spiritual aspect to the Black Star. And one of the things that's happening with the Black Star, because the earth is nickel and iron, is a lot of volcanic and earthquake activity. This has been going on for a while. Record amounts of lava, record amounts of eruptions going on at Kilauea in Hawaii. And here we have the Hawaiian Volcano Observatory reported episode 36 on the ongoing Kilauea volcano eruption is imminent. Overflows to the south vent grew in size and duration overnight. Record flows. It looks like this. I mean, it looks like something, on the surface of Mars. And this is going on all over the planet. So first, increased volcanic and earthquakes around the world, and to talk about the Black Star and how it's working and what it's doing and why this has a heavenly aspect to it. It's war against the deep state. The Black Star means war from the heavens, from Jehovah, against the deep state. We'll get into that. But let's first talk about the Black Star. We have Weston Warren on, scientist Weston Warren. Also, I want to point this out, biblical scholar, stone cold biblical scholar, and also the scientist that invented the Kory ion. And by the way, when you start getting all this volcanic ash all over the globe, you're going to want to have this. We'll talk about that at the end because I think it's just a great tool. Weston Warren, thanks for joining us today on USAWatchdog.com.
It's good to be back. It's been several months. A lot has happened since our last interview.
I know. So let's get into this increased volcanic activity. There's no denying it, but yet it's not very much reported. I mean, volcanoes and earthquakes going off at a much higher level. I did a AI search, and what did it say? A much higher level of volcanic activity and earthquakes is going on around the world right now. This is AI. And so even AI knows there's something up. What is this caused by?
Well, this is our particular theory and analysis that we have. So I always want to have the caveat, we could be wrong. So we're not claiming to have all knowledge and perfection in our trends. But the Earth and the other interviews, I don't want to repeat that because they could watch those interviews. The Earth is receiving additional electromagnetic energy other than our sun. So there's some type of an anomaly that's emitting electromagnetic energy affecting the planets, primarily the interior planets, but Earth is where we live, so we focus here on Earth. The core is absorbing additional energy. Well, when that happens, the energy, heat transformation of magma surrounding the core expands and rises, and it's displacing other magma that the continental plates are floating on. So you're getting pressurization and movement anywhere from, for illustrative purposes, 40 to 400 miles below the surface of the crust. Some areas of Earth's crust is much thicker, others much thinner. So you'll have manifestations of earthquakes where plates meet, weak spots or hot spots where volcanic activity breaches the surface, whether it's on land or breaches the surface coming up on the ocean floors. So what we've had is an increase of pressurization, magma movement. So that's volcanic earthquake activities. Then you have the warming of the oceans because the magma is warm. So it's warming underneath the continental crust. Just like you'd have a pot on the stove and you're warming it to make tea or coffee. And as the oceans warm, that affects currents, ocean currents. And then you have the jet stream trying to compensate for what the ocean currents are not as effective as they used to be because they're warming up. So you have jet stream activity the Earth's trying to maintain equilibrium, temperature equilibrium. Well, if the jet stream's involved, then you have more violent weather. So you could have more hurricanes activities, tornado activities, bizarre weather where it's 60 degrees one day, 30 the next within 8 hours. So polar vortexes. We're going to have, in the United States, for example, the large regions, it's going to be kind of a brutal winter in the Midwest, for example, of the United States. And that's because of the polar vortex and the jet stream activity. Almost tends to act like it's schizophrenic. So the weather patterns and the winds that exist. This is all explanation of solar system harmonics.
So let's take a look at the chart. People think that this is coming through like Halley's Comet, but it doesn't. It's in, for lack of a better term, if you want to say this is setting up for a war. The Black Star is a tool being used by Jehovah and Jesus because, as you've told me, they control the heavenly bodies. All power in heaven and on earth been given to me, says Jesus. It's being pushed into place. The Black Star. Can you show us on the solar system map where we are and where it's going to hit its zenith again?
Oh yeah, the solar system scope.
Yeah. Let's take a look at where we are, so people get an idea of where we are with this thing.
Is it showing up on your screen?
Not yet, but it's where the where you have the planets going around right now. It's where the sun is between us and the Black Star, the anomaly. Here we go. That's it. There you go. Let me go full screen.
Okay. Well, as the other interviews, I'll just do this real quick. Here's the date. So you have the 6th of November.
Yep.
But you can grab planets with the mouse and rotate. Just to clarify, because there's some emails and questions people had. The next 6 years, expect a lot of volatile activity: earthquakes, volcanoes, tsunamis, hurricanes, bizarre temperature swings within 8-10 hours because of our solar system harmonics. But people were confused. I'm not saying if I rotate this, I said there's points of concern that we have in 2026 and 2028. For some reason, people misunderstood the interviews. They're thinking that the world's going to come to an end this February. No, I never said that. But if you look here, the solar system diagram, in February 2026, the Earth is here alone. Notice all the other inner planets are on this side of the sun. So if the anomaly is over here, then the Earth is getting more of a electromagnetic charge versus the other planets, just simply because where it's located, it's all by itself. And then you have a similar situation if you fast forward to 2028, where the Earth is also all by itself near this approaching anomaly and all the other planets.
Go ahead, fast forward.
There's reason to expect.
Boom, right there.
Yeah. There's reasons to expect increased activity during these time periods when the Earth is on one side of the ecliptic and the planets are lined up over here. It's just your solar system harmonics and the balance of planets. And as I mentioned before, after 2018, Jupiter is no longer in orbit to help absorb some of this emission. So ever since 2018, the inner planets have really been taking a shellacking since Jupiter can't run buffer
And
anymore.
you're saying right here, it's just floating here is what's happening. This anomaly, I'm putting my cursor on it right here. It's floating around right here. It's not really moving. It's moving slowly. It's moving very slowly right in here someplace, correct?
Right. No, it would be maybe down south of the ecliptic, coming up from underneath. But It doesn't act or behave like an interstellar comet.
It's just
like you're hearing on the news. An interstellar comet, they come outside our solar system and they're in a hyperbolic path, so they're not returning. And they kind of come in our solar system at high speed and exit. So this is not an interstellar comet, and it's an anomaly. I really don't want to say in the interview what we think it is, because it's speculation, and already there's trolls and catcalls that make it even worse. But it's
well, what do you think it is?
It seems like it's being, well, yeah, you want me to get in trouble and get all the hate email, thanks.
No.
So
well,
yeah, people are ignorant. Just
but what do you think it is?
Well, if you ask me, it's a technology that's put in place to affect Earth's behavior, and it's been used in the past. So if that is, it's a piece of technology that is unknown, and it's certainly not human.
And sent by the heavenly powers. Jesus.
Jehovah. Well, if you want to, I don't want to turn these interviews into a religious discussion. That gets even worse with the hate mail. But if you look at the ancient texts and the scriptures, if you want to use that as a reference, it talks about who controls celestial bodies. Your planetary systems, your moons, your stars, comets, or things. Those texts say that planetary systems, celestial bodies, are controlled by the heavenly realm.
By Jehovah.
Yeah.
And Jesus.
Yeah, that's. I mean, those are names that were provided in the ancient text. There's Hebrew derivatives and then the English versions. But yeah, it's saying that these would be intelligent life forms existing in heaven. It's not the dimensional realm we live in, and they have the technology and authority. They control or created these celestial bodies, so they can cause celestial bodies to behave any way they want.
Okay, I'm going to pause that there. Now, what they're talking about is there were some theories, as I said, 12, 15 years ago when I first caught on to this, because, folks, I haven't watched mainstream TV. I mean, not even the series, the TV shows that they have. I haven't watched that for probably 30 years. Okay. I search around on things on YouTube and more recently Rumble, but this was something that was being talked about, that if you look out into the universe, there are more binary stellar systems than not. In other words, two suns revolving around each other. Okay? And this was a theory, and I was went into it very deeply, how this is our solar system, and there's another star. It's actually a dead star, so you don't see it shining, that orbits around our sun. And it has planets with it too. And there's speculation that this happens like every 3,700 years or something. I mean, that's how long, but this 3,700 years is nothing compared to, time. The sun's 5 billion years old. 5 billion years old. The Earth's supposed to be 4.5 billion years old. Okay, so speculation was that this came around about the time of Noah's Ark and caused all kinds of havoc on the planet Earth. And if you look at the Bible, right there in the first paragraph, the Lord's talking about let's replenish the earth. Replenish the earth. Doesn't that mean that there was life here before? So, and according to some Bible scholars, the earth is only like seven, or yeah, we are here. It's only like 7,000 years old or so. So, the speculation is this thing is coming and it could wreak havoc to the earth. But, I'm thinking it probably won't be coming around for maybe decades, if not centuries, okay? But this video here from USA Watchdog will also be in my daily news wrap up. So as you can see, this video does come from Greg Hunter's USA Watchdog. This is the video I shared with you. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Okay, I just wanted to introduce that to you. If you're interested in watching it, well, it'll be in my wrap up. So let's move on from there. Okay, let's get down here. Wendy Bell, Weekends with Wendy. Now, I like she doesn't, through the week, she has notes that things that she wants to talk about. But I like Weekends with Wendy. She does this on Sunday morning, early Sunday morning, because her and Brock just sit there and talk about things, and different things pop up, and it's very interesting information. And believe it or not, I'm going to share the rest of this video in my daily news wrap up tonight. But as of right now, we're going to start out about the 1 minute and 23-second mark after they get past their introductions. So let's see what Wendy has to say.
Effed. Holy moly. Brock, have you been even peripherally paying attention to the jazz going on in frickin' Minnesota?
A lot of scams. A lot of scams. What we were talking about before that. The more benevolent, you use the word benevolent, which I think is better. The more benevolent it sounds,
Yeah.
the bigger the grift.
Feeding our future. Let me
Right.
give you more. Let me give you more. And then the Somalis
Fixing the
behind it, they're
homeless.
like, I'm going to send this home.
Fix the homeless crisis. USAID.
Good morning, everybody. That's just it. That's just it. So last week I was trying to research where I wanted to go with my Newsmax show this week. And so I sent Brock this document. It was some tax document from a nonprofit in California that's about homing the homeless, right? And they get $3.3 million federal grant money every year. And then they got to show you what their expenses are. I'm like, I have to send this to Brock because if what I think I'm seeing is what I'm seeing, and how did I find this tax document? I went to Perplexity. And I plugged in one of these names that I'd seen on a news article about the homeless industrial complex in San Francisco in particular. And one of these names just kind of was listed on a list. So I cherry picked it, put it into Perplexity, and it goes, boom, up comes this thing. And I was like, their tax documents from 2022 or 2023, Brock, they have all of this money coming in and they can't account for where it's going. It's all a freaking grift, and it's connected to the cartels. It's connected to these freaking truck drivers. It's connected to all of it, and why Democrats don't want it to end in their blue cities, why the pushback against ICE. I'm a total conspiracy theorist today. But it's good in emeralds. Green's one of my favorite colors. So anyway, that's where my mind is. How's everybody else? Anybody? Bueller. Perplexity is awesome. Great tool to help with estimates. John, I use it for everything. The only thing I notice is it makes my computer glitchy, which is aggravating, but it seems to have settled down. But you put something in that search engine and it gives you like layers upon layers of deeper thought. And you're like, what? And so, Brock, when you looked at that tax document, what did you see?
I think my response to you was, how can you have two full-time employees and 20 part-time employees and have a building that costs you hundreds of thousands of dollars and have payroll that's out the wazoo?
Office supplies.
Yeah. Right.
It was crazy, you guys. It was just one little NGO in a network of waste, fraud, and abuse, which is why they freaking went after Tesla. Elon Musk became persona non grata because he was exposing the bullshit. And they just went like this with the thread. That's it. There's a whole tapestry. Now we've got John Brennan, Lisa Page, Peter Strzok. Did you hear Did you hear John Solomon say on Steve Bannon's show Friday? If Alan is watching, thank you for, he always clips it up for me and gives me the starting point. John Solomon was like, I fully expect 150 of these subpoenas to go out, leading to criminal referrals by Christmas. I was like,
100. Well, you saw the pipe bomber was apparently a Capitol police officer.
some ugly chick, some white
Well,
college educated liberal chick.
but is anyone surprised? Because the fact of the matter is, Nancy Pelosi's behind all this crap, and who's in charge of Capitol Police?
Who's
I'm sure she'll
retiring?
have. I'm sure she'll get a book deal. You know,
Something crossed yesterday that I just got on my newsfeed and I didn't snag it fast enough, but it was talking about Nancy Pelosi's stock trading since, over 40 years. And it's like up 137,000%. Like it's something so mind-bendingly ridiculous. They're that overt. The fraud and the corruption is that overt that they laugh at you with it. They laugh at you because they know that they won't vote themselves out of office.
no, she beat the S&P 500. Okay, I've said this before. I have a friend that works in the financial world, and he's like, dude, if anyone in my position had returns like that,
Oh my God. They'd
he's
be
like,
on you like white on rice.
he's like, you would, he goes, the amount of things I have to go through just to make a purchase.
Mm.
I have compliance. I have all these things I have to go through.
Brock, it was Paul's. It was Paul's.
I know.
Paul did all that, and then her advisor did stuff that she was really
But,
unaware of. I was working
but
so
see,
hard. I was in DC.
here's the even thing with Paul, right? This is what the grift is. So Paul's in the financial sector, just like my buddy. My buddy has to go through all these hoops. Does Paul Pelosi not have to?
Brock, we don't have two tiers. There's not one for the swamp and one for everybody else. Okay? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know.
How's
I'm
everybody?
stuck and stupid.
Let's see what you guys are talking about. Where are you from? Where are you watching? What are you doing? How's your morning? Brock and I
Did you
hopped on
rumble?
here. Oh, did I?
No, I'm saying,
No.
did they
Oh.
rumble?
I don't know.
I just rumbled for you.
Do you think Gail is on? I don't know if Gail is on. Gail he's probably my number one boyfriend. I just gotta say. And Gail had sent us, hi Sherry, you're in Hilton Head. I love it. In Georgia, Orlando. I love it. So Gail had sent us a little bit of money because he didn't want our merch. He's like, I'm 87 years old. I don't need another sweatshirt. Screw off. I'm like, I love you for that. So he sends us money. He's like, I want to support you guys. So Brock, tell him, Darius, come on now. Hi, good morning, Marilyn. Good morning, Clover Patch. Hello, Hoodoo. And Darlene, it's great to be with you. So the brisket. So
Turned out
go
good.
ahead. You go ahead. You tell your story, Brock. I'll sit back. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to.
Well, let me first. Well,
Oh, by the way.
I hate people. So kudos to the grill. Let me just start by saying that. So I'm watching it cook during the pet show. I have my app up telling me the temperature, and the grill temperature was staying the same. So it was holding but the meat temperature wasn't going. And I'm, right after the pet show, I run out. I'm like, what is wrong? I can't figure it out. I'm like, so I come in and I Google my meat temperature has stalled. What do I do? Blah, blah. So I go out and do all the things they say. I didn't do the one thing. I ran out of propane. And then I realized, okay, well, now I have to have this. Now, it'd been on there for 8 hours.
Wow.
And so I had to go, okay, I have to do it now, up the heat, and just do it on the, cook it on the internal temperature. Like, that's all I was worried about. So Kate and I are in the kitchen, and we made a whole spread, vegetables. And I look over my phone, I was like, grill says it's 637 degrees. What the? Kate's like, "Are you sure the girl's not on fire?" And I'm like, "What?" So I walk out. Girl's on fire because the drippings caught, and since I turned up the heat, it was boiling more. And note to self and anyone else out there, when you have a grill fire, don't think you can blow it out. My cat-like reflexes got me out of the way. I'm like, so I came out without water and put baking soda on it, but I ended up cooking it. It ended up.
It was great.
It
But
was.
do you have any of the pictures?
Oh,
Hold on, I can just bring them up on my.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause that there. Again, I'll share this in my daily news wrap up, and so we'll have a little more time here to watch this. But I really enjoy their conversation back and forth about, what's going on, even their personal stuff. Let me click on the Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Wendy, Weekends with Wendy Bell Radio. I'm following her channel. I've given her a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. And when they talk about Rumbles, this is what they're talking about, the thumbs up. They've got 1,560 Rumbles. So yes, I'm jealous of them. But let's jump back here, okay, and see what X22 report has to say with Mr. and Mrs. X. Women are fighting back against men in women's spaces. It has begun, episode 15. Now, last night, in my daily news update, I shared some information from Anthony Brian Logan about this lady that was just freaked out because some men walked into the ladies' locker room at Gold's Gym in Los Angeles, I guess, and she was standing there naked. And this man just walks in and was looking at her because he says he's a woman. Okay? And Mr. and Mrs. X are going to talk a little bit more about that. Here it is, 8:52, and yeah, we're probably going to run over because this is stuff that is important. That the Democrats think it's okay for men to say they're a woman and invade women's private spaces. Now, if that's not a WTF moment, I certainly don't know what is. But let's listen to X22 report and
welcome
Mrs. X.
Mrs. X.
Hello, everyone.
See what they
So
have to
let's
say.
start off with what's happening with women, men in women's bathrooms, men in women's lockers, men on women's sports, because it seems like we've been battling this now for quite a while. And of course, the deep state players, the fake news, they're all trying to make this normal, like this is a normal thing. And it seems at this point, men are now taking advantage of this. And I think this is what we thought was going to happen in the end, where, yes, in the beginning, you're saying, oh, no, it's men dressing up as women. Now, men, they're not even dressing up as women. Yeah, they might be putting on lipstick, but they still look like a man. And now we had this viral encounter where Tish Hyman, she was getting changed in the locker room, and she was naked, and there was a man in there. Now, the man wasn't dressed up or anything like that. The man was just as a man. So at this point, I think everyone's starting to realize that this should never, ever happen. I think we knew that from the very beginning. But as time goes on, I think there's more and more cases now where people are starting to realize that the pedos and the freaks and the crazies are now going into the women's locker room.
Well, I think what was upsetting for this one, I mean, it's all upsetting when you really think about it, but Tish Hyman, it happened in LA, so, California. So here we are in California, which shouldn't surprise when you're going to hear the outcome of this particular story. And apparently she had encounters with this man who goes by the name Alexis Black before. But she was at the Gold's Gym at the Beverly Center, and she was naked in the locker room. And he came in, and I think he was dressed as a man, and he's still a man, but he says he's a woman, but he still has all of his man parts. That he, I think he had lipstick on or whatever, but I don't know why everyone thinks that makes you a woman. But anyway, that's interesting. And, she was very upset, and the viral, and she not only was in her car going on about it, but then she had a video when she was in the lobby of the Gold's Gym. And I think that this one really upset me. And she's telling everyone, she has herself filming and explaining what happened. And she ended up getting her membership revoked, which is kind of crazy. And, but I think what upset me was just everyone was just going about their business. And I feel like in solidarity, you need to, like, men and women in the gym should line up and say to Golds, we don't want this anymore. Like, this is not okay that a woman does not feel safe in the locker room. And I think that lack of attitude, but then it's also California where they've been normalizing this behavior for a while, that what's your problem with this? But I felt very badly for her. And ironically, she said, I'm a lesbian. She goes, I don't have a problem with trans people, but I shouldn't feel that I'm naked in the locker room and this man saw me naked without my permission. That's what she said in her video. And it was very powerful to me because I was like, she's not wrong. Like, this is really awful that she does not feel safe. She's going to get her workout in. You're in the locker room feeling that you're in a safe space. And then a guy just saunters in and says, well, I'm a woman, so it's okay that I'm here. And the establishment is condoning that behavior. And people didn't seem to care too much. And, and she did file a complaint. And whatnot. She ended up getting her membership revoked. But then the story gets even crazier. I mean, TMZ did interview Alexis Black, this man who claims that he's a woman, and he was saying
this
he had
person
every right to be
realizes
there.
Halloween is over.
I don't think they realize it. But here's where it gets more interesting. He used to be Grant Freeman. And he pled guilty to beating his wife Alexis in 2022, broke her jaw really bad. And now he's taken her first name as his new identity, which I don't even want to get into.
Oh, that is crazy.
Isn't that crazy? Like that was a little like, when you start to dig deeper into these stories, it's always like, wow, look at these people that are, what? I was just, I'm a guy, but I'm really a woman and I'm allowed to be here. But then when you delve into their stories a little more, you're like, okay, we're dealing with people that are mentally not okay. And poor Tish, she just wants to get dressed in the locker room after a workout. Like you shouldn't feel that vulnerable. So that was kind of wild how it went. So then it just made me, really want to research this more, because we have heard these stories over time, but you realize these stories are not getting much traction in the news. They are protecting this group of people, which it is a very small group of people that identify as transgender. It's maybe 3 million people out of a country of over 300 million people, but we continually protect them, not just in the locker room, but in the women's sports and all of this. So then it makes you go back to like, well, and these self-ID laws are particularly strong in California. But actually, this kind of stuff started to happen in states in 2010 with Colorado and Iowa with these, I'm identifying as a woman. And then in 2013 in California, and in 2016 Massachusetts, most notably. But in this time, guess who was president?
I'm going to guess Obama.
Yes. So that's when he really pushed it in the schools. So he did his Title IX in 2015, and he basically told every public school to let trans kids use bathrooms and locker rooms matching their gender identity, or they were going to risk losing federal funds. As per usual, this is their playbook. It's like, if you don't do what we say, we're withholding federal money. So what does everyone do? They jump on the bandwagon, and all 50 states instantly, no vote needed, had to roll this out. California was one of the first, of course, to roll it out that same year, and they used local laws and whatnot because they all wanted the money. But then, it's just interesting that he was the one who really made it where you don't have a choice. You have to go with this agenda.
And this goes along with everything else. I mean, if you really think about it, they use the same exact tactic. And if you go back in time, the fake news and everyone else never said a word. So if you think about the federal funds, they did the same thing with education, Common Core. They did the same thing with health insurance. I mean, that's what they're battling right now. I mean, it really has nothing to do with health insurance. It has to do with their failed policies, because when you look at the health insurance, and yes, I'm going off a little bit off a track here. When you look at that, you could see that they created this entire healthcare system that is failing, just like the EV market. I mean, the only way the EV market actually was able to stay afloat was because of the subsidies. Now that the subsidies are gone, what happened to the EV market? It's falling apart. The same thing with the health care, Affordable Care Act. Without the subsidies, it doesn't work. So actually, when you really look at this and people go, oh yeah, it's cheap healthcare. No, you're paying twice. That's really what's happening. So it's the same thing with what he did with women, men in women's spaces, locker rooms, spaces, whatever. I mean, so basically they've been using the same exact tactic to force the states into doing what they want. And again, it goes back, and I hate to say this, but it always goes back to the private Western Central Bank system, because think about it. Without all of this money, without the constant printing, remember, it's an open-ended credit card. When you have an open-ended credit card, you can force states, towns, cities to do what you want them to do, because all you have to do is say, listen, you're not going to get this money. You're not going to get all the money so you can launder it, so you can pay people. You're not getting it. So again, it's the same exact thing.
Well, it's just upsetting because, like, you know, if you go by, you know, we're a constitutional republic. If the people wanted this change, okay, that's one thing. But the people did not want this change. This wasn't a thing. This wasn't an issue for people.
Nobody voted on it.
Nobody voted on it.
Nope.
It was completely his agenda. He tied a lot of friggin' money to it. And he said, you either do it or you don't get the money. And people that didn't even agree, states that didn't even agree, they went with it because they wanted the money. They needed the money for whatever reasons. And then...
Well, I think we know what they used the money for. There's no way all this money is needed to keep the towns, the cities, and everything operational on a day-to-day basis. I mean, the amount is staggering. If we actually went in with a forensic account, I think people, just like with Doge now in D.C., I think we would be shocked of that most of this money doesn't go to anything that has to do with government whatsoever. It goes into people's pockets.
That's true, but in the meantime, the people suffer for it. Specifically in this instance, women and young girls and and our young people. And because especially when you're going into the schools, because, you know, and then, you know, President Trump, when he became president, he got rid of the Title IX stuff. And then, of course, Biden brought it back. And then what did the president on his first day, January 20th this year, he called defending women from gender ideology extremism. That was when he rescinded Biden's Title IX rules on trans protections. And he killed the Gender Policy Council, and he pushed schools back to going to biological sex for bathroom sports and all of it. Unfortunately, not every state is still complying, and women are still fighting for this, which is crazy because, again, you know, we talk about this all the time. It's like these women, we fought very hard to have, you know, this equality in terms of, not that we want to be competing on the same team as you, because that's not fair. Women and men are different. We know that strength-wise, biological-wise, but women to have sports, to also have a women's volleyball team, for women to compete in the Olympics, for women to have this place in society, and then you just basically are taking it all away. You know, with using this Title IX, like, oh, we have to be fair to everybody. And it's like, but no, you're not being fair to everybody. You're actually telling half the population, the women of our society, oh, you don't matter. Because if you say, you know what, today I'm actually a woman and I'm going to put on lipstick and a wig and walk into the locker room and say I'm a woman and I can just do whatever I want and you don't matter. That's really what they're saying.
And when you really look at this, you have to really go back and think, like, why are they doing this? Why are they attacking women? I find this very, very interesting that they decided, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to allow men to dress up as women and invade all the women's spaces. So the question is, what's the agenda here? Are they trying to destroy women? Are they trying to destroy the women movement? Are they trying to degrade women enough where they have no say in society whatsoever? Because really, in the end, and I've said this many, many times before, in the end, if you keep bringing men onto women's sports, if you keep bringing men into the work positions taking over for women, soon you'll have no women in any of this. And these men would be able to go into every single space, and I think eventually what would happen is they would start raping these women, or because right now all they're doing is looking and staring, which is awful. But I think in the end, I think they're trying to normalize all this and actually remove women from society.
It is. It's very upsetting because you do see that. Like, it's over and over again. And when the women who are standing up, who are complaining about it, I mean, you look at Riley Gaines as the perfect example. She was one of the first that with the women's sports saying, I don't feel comfortable in the locker room. I don't feel that it's fair for this man who didn't really cut it in the men's swimming competitive swimming, and then he just said, well, you know what, I'm a girl, and he went into women's swimming, and then he dominated because you're a man, you're not really a woman competing fairly.
The muscle structure, bone structure,
it's different.
Endurance, it's all different.
And so everyone can pretend all they want, it's different. And she fought, and most women, even in sports, didn't support her in that. And she's still a strong advocate of that. And I think that's so powerful what she did, because she stood up when it wasn't really popular to do so. But, they made it out like though she was like a whiny baby about it. And it's like, no, she worked her ass off, literally, to be at where she was competitively in swimming. Like, you don't get that good just by accident. It's not genetics. It's not, oh, whatever, I woke up like this. You get up every day. You're pushing yourself. You're eating a certain way. You're doing workouts. You're working out when you don't want to. You're getting in the pool and swimming and doing when you don't, you're doing all the things that most people won't do to be competing at that level. And then this guy walks in and says, oh, I'm a girl, and then beats her. Like, and everyone's celebrating that fact. And then not to mention the injuries that go along with it, but it really is and to me, it's sending the message that your hard work doesn't matter because move over. I'm going to come here now and take this away from you and take your spots. I mean, look at, for example, the Glamour shoot that the United Kingdom just did. The UK Glamour magazine did their Women of the Year issue. They have 9 quote unquote women on the cover. None of them are women. They call them dolls. You can call them whatever you want. They're men. They have men on the cover of the Women's Glamour magazine in the United Kingdom, and we're just supposed to be okay with that as women. So now, women are not even being celebrated on the cover of the Women of the Year issue, which is not the first time that's happened. But again, it's still happening. They're still doing it.
Well,
okay. I'm going to go ahead and pause that there. Again, this video I will share in my daily news wrap-up if you want to watch the rest of it. It's unbelievable. Now, folks, I don't think this is right for women, okay? Now, okay, I'm not a woman. I'm married to a woman. But I do not think that men, because they say they're a woman, makes them a woman. I don't understand where the Democrats or the left is coming from with this. The Democrats were the ones that were always pushing women's rights. Well, a guy that says he's a woman is not a woman. He's, in most cases, I would say a pervert. Going into women's locker rooms, women's restrooms, just so he can see what's going on, I guess. Okay, that's my attitude. All right, let me click over here on the Rumble link. This does come from X22 Report. I am following his channel. I'm giving him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, jumping back here. And as a reminder, folks, these videos that I shared with you come directly from the producer's channel. I put this information together and share it out with you to give you an idea of what's going on out there so that you can see what's going on behind your back. You don't have to rely on the lying legacy media, the Democrats and deep state swamp. Okay, let's check out our chat here. We've got a lot of chats here. I want to copy in, slide this down, make sure I get them all. All right, great. I want to copy this into a comment because, as I've mentioned before, when the live stream is over, then the live chat just kind of evaporates into hyperspace. So here we go. Boom. All right, it's permanent now. Okay, let me do a quick refresh on this. looks like I've had 191 people look at this video so far. All right. Okay. I've got 21 people watching right now. 236 people have watched this video. I've got 21 people watching right now. I've got 5 thumbs up or 5 rumbles. Okay, so if you folks could slide down here and give me a thumbs up, that would be fantastic. I would greatly appreciate that. And these 5 videos that I've shared with you are videos that I've posted here on Mertech.com. Right there's Andrew Klavan. Down here's Dr. Steve Turley. USA Watchdog right here. Weekends with Wendy, X22 Report, Mr. and Mrs. X. Now, I have over 55 videos here on Mertech.com, and the link to Mertech.com is in the description box. So if you want to come on over and see some of this other information, I don't have time to share all of it with you in this 1-hour podcast or 1 hour plus podcast, but I will share a lot of this information in my daily news wrap-up coming up about 9:30. So go ahead and take a break, grab a cup of coffee and a donut, a sandwich and a soft drink or a beer, and meet me back here at 9:30. Give me a chance to get my Rumble Studio set up and update my playlist a little bit, and we'll go from there. But in the meantime, I do want to thank you for being with me. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again later, and may God bless.